Hi, thank you so much for joining me for today's process video. And today is just a layout using two tiny photos of Croxteth Hall and Country Park, which is a place local to us. And James holds markets, well, he attends markets here with his 3D printed things. Before Christmas, I attended one on my own because he was doing one elsewhere, so I did it for him. So these are just some snaps of the park and the hall on my way to the venue to set up my market stall. So I printed these 2x3s, so they're tiny little photos, and I wanted to create a relatively minimalist layout. I always try these and end up building and building and building, but I think I did relatively well today in keeping this in a small area of the layout. So I'm starting by creating a mixed media base for the photos to sit on. So I started off with bundled sage ink from Tim Holtz Distress Oxides, just watered it down and used that big flat brush to get the base down. I then came in with, oh gosh, what's it called? The dark grey green one. I'll find it shortly. I can't see it on my desk even. My desk's a bit of a tip after organising that. Anyway, it came in with that other one, and then I'm blending in some pine needles which came out very blue, and so I decided to bring even more blue in with Uncharted Mariner, and I've also brought in Mowed Lawn, so adding a nice lot of ink to that mix, and then finishing off with black soot just to darken everything ever so slightly. I wanted a slightly deeper look to the mixed media. Okay, that was driving me mad, so I had to go and look. It's iced spruce, the other ink that I used there. So I left that all to dry, as you can see, and now I wanted to add a little bit more stamping to the background. So I'm starting off with the distressed grids from Hey Little Magpie and using the circular element, again with the iced spruce ink, to add it above and below the two photos. They're slightly offset against one another, and you can see I've created almost a shelf with the ink when I created the background at the beginning, and then I wanted to just run some stitching along that shelf line, but again I didn't want it to be too dark, so I didn't want to come in with black soot or anything that was too defined. So again, I'm using that same iced spruce, and it's a really nice, very dark grey green. So works beautifully for adding accents like this. So now that stamping is down, I just wanted to bring in some of the smaller elements in Stitch's stamp set from Hey Little Magpie. There's this little one with the zigzags and then sort of a thread tailing off, so I wanted to add that to the right of the two photos. And then there's another one which is sort of closely stitched zigzags that I'm adding to the left, again with a tail of thread trailing off. So just positioning those roughly where I think they're going to be on either side of the photos, and then I'm going to map the photos onto scrap white card and then onto that gorgeous black and white diagonal that you've seen me bring out before from Simple Stories Lakeside. I've got a few sheets of it and I just love it. So I'm trying not to make these maps too big because I don't want the photos to become too big over that mixed media that I've created. Of course, a lot of it will be covered up, but plenty still shows. So just trimming that white border nice and thin against that photo, and then I'll do the same with the other one. And then here's that lovely diagonal stripe that I'm bringing in just to add, again, a very thin mat around the edge of the photos. And I don't distress this or anything, I just wanted to keep it as a nice crisp thin line around the edge of that photo. So there's the first one, and just coming in with the second one now, and then they're going to be layered up on top of each other, just in that area that you can see that there's more mixed media, just like that. So I stick them down, and then when I go to look through my embellishments in my drawers to see what I want to use on this layout, I actually find a frame, so I do pull them back up, and because they sit on top of this frame, this is a Pink Fresh Studio, Good Times, I think the collection was called. And it just says every little moment at the bottom, and I thought that was absolutely perfect because these photos aren't of anything particular. It was just a gorgeous, crisp, sunny October morning, and I just wanted to snap some quick shots. So it doesn't need too much description really, but I just thought that frame worked really nicely in saying every little moment. It was just a little moment in that day, and it evokes memories, which is what our albums are all about, isn't it? So because I've added that frame, you can see I'm just going through with some Sticks to foam pads just to raise those photos up so that they sit neatly over that frame. So just working out where to put the foam so that it doesn't clash with the edge of the frame at all. And then I'll go off screen and glue all these down. You don't need to see me doing that, but I'll just show you how I work out where to put the foam. So those two are down now. And then I'm coming in with this 49 and Market Grove laser cut elements. So these gorgeous greens, and I just thought they would work perfectly with these photos. Like I say, I don't want to add too many embellishments, so I'm just looking for a few little bits just to dot around. I see this little moth that's flying, and I think that will work nicely on top of that grid. And then I wanted some leaves to come up the left-hand side and also on the right-hand side of the photo. So I'm just looking for those now. So I find this nice one with little white flowers on it. And there was that little end of another piece which works nice to cluster that together. And then I found this one which is going to go on the right hand side with a few other bits and pieces. So I'm just going to glue these down using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. And you can see that's not adding too much to the layout, but it really has an impact because it's such a minimalist layout. Just adding a few little bits really does elevate the layout really. So that little moth, and then I'm just going to look for a few more bits to add to the right hand side. I do add a bow as well to the left, just the bottom left hand corner of that photo, and I really like the look that gives. It just sort of extends the eye across the page. And then here's another little butterfly, and I'm just going to have that flying in towards the two photos. So I'm adding a tiny bit of journaling at the bottom here. I was a bit annoyed, my pen bled a little bit on the C for Crockstiff, so it's made a tiny bit of a mess. I doubt if anybody else would even pick up on it, but I know it's there and it's annoying me. And it also smudged when I move something, you'll see shortly. So I bring in some enamel dots to cover that. So I'm just adding that tab back up at the top. I will add the date off screen. I needed to look it up, but it was the 27th of October last year. And then I'm bringing in the Sage Ticket Essentials from 49 and Market and just adding a few of those tickets. So one behind that tab at the top there, and then one to the right hand side of the two photos here. And then I decide to add one of the stamps layered on top of that as well, just to finish it off. So just grabbing the stamp out of the box, and I just take the first one off the reel. I'm not bothered what it says. I just wanted a little bit more interest there on the right hand side. So this is where I notice that C has smudged. So I'm just bringing in these enamel dots. They're nice greens and sort of purpley browns, so they work beautifully with these photos and this collection that I've put together. And that's basically the layout done. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope this has provided some inspiration. It just shows you don't need a lot to create a really fun layout. See you again soon. Bye.